News Prime Time. Let's start with our top story. Paralympian Oscar Pistorius is not guilty of premeditated murder. The North Gauteng High Court found that he did not intend to shoot and kill his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp, on Valentine's Day last year.
Judge Thokozile Masipa said the state had failed to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the athlete killed her in a fit of rage. Pistorius now faces possible conviction for culpable homicide.
Pistorius fought his way through a barrage of international and local media to hear his fate. Judge Masipa started a judgment with a summary of the evidence in court. Doubt was first cast on the testimony of Pistorius' neighbors. They testified they heard sounds coming from the athlete's home.
Only 4 gunshots were fired by the accused that morning. Yet some witnesses stated that they had more than 4 shots, while others had less than 4. This can only mean that some of the sounds that were heard were interpreted as shots could have been from the cricket bat striking against the door. In my view, it is absurd to conclude that the evidence of witnesses must be rejected in its entirety merely because the witnesses failed to describe the events in exactly the same way.
She also dismissed assertions that the couple had been awake a few hours before the shooting.
The experts agreed that gastric emptying was not an exact science. It would therefore be unwise for this court to even attempt to figure out what the presence of partially digested food might mean, as the evidence before this court is inconclusive.
But Pistorius' credibility as a witness took a hammering.
The accused was a very poor witness. While during evidence in chief, he seemed composed and logical, with the result that his evidence flowed and made sense. While giving his version under cross-examination, he lost his composure.
Then, a bombshell. The state failed to prove that the athlete intended to shoot Steenkamp.
The timelines, as set out in the chronology of events, tip the scales in favor of the accused version in general.
Neither could it prove premeditated murder.
How could the accused reasonably have foreseen that the shot he fired would kill the deceased? Clearly, he did not subjectively foresee this as a possibility that he would kill the person behind the door, let alone the deceased, as he thought she was in the bedroom at the time. The accused, therefore, cannot be found guilty of murder dolus eventualis.
But the judge did find a degree of negligence on his part.
On the facts of this case, I am not persuaded that a reasonable person with the accused disabilities in the same circumstances would have fired 4 shots into that small toilet cubicle. The accused knew that there was a person behind the toilet door. He chose to use a firearm, which was a lethal weapon. He was competent in the use of firearms as he had undergone some training.
Experts say this points to a conviction.
It appears very much that the judge is heading towards that direction in finding that Mr. Pistorius acted negligently, which is a different form of culpa or guilt, and accordingly held him accountable on the basis of culpable homicide in that he acted negligently.
Probably one of the most trying days for Oscar Pistorius in court. The athlete wept silently several times while listening to proceedings. Also a tough and emotional day for the Pistorius and the Steenkamp families. But despite a seemingly more favorable outcome, it's not over just yet for the Paralympian. Judge Thokozile Masipa is yet to address several firearm-related charges. SABC News at the North Gauteng High Court.